So we're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, the life and teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the golden incarnation of Krishna, who appeared in this world 500 years ago and began a revolution that continues even today. And we were all part of that wonderful revolution. Everybody wants to be part of a revolution, don't we? You want to be part of a revolution? Especially if you're under 28? Yeah, it's going to be a revolution, man. Okay, and what is this revolution? Let's find out. So this verse is Adi Lila, chapter 17, verse 100. I'm being put in my place. We will never become Bengalis, will we? And thank God for that. Because how would the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread if the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not take birth in Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania and, for some unknown reason, Poland? Where would our movement be? The fact is that we've taken birth in every country of the world. And elsewhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada writes that the duty of the present members of the Krishna consciousness movement is to find and train up the future members of the Krishna consciousness movement. That's how it spreads. He says they're there already. They're already there. They've already taken birth. You just have to find them. Isn't it? Simple idea. You have to go and find them. Sometimes we think, well, when we have distributed 900,460,592 books exactly, then the revolution will happen. Isn't it? The revolution happens, my dear friends, when you find the future devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and you tell them something about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they go, aha, this is what I was looking for. Thank you very much. And how many times do we have that experience? You've all had that experience when you say something to someone, they go, this is just what I was looking for. Isn't it? Ladies, you had that experience? Okay, you don't talk to strangers? Don't talk to strangers. Ladies, do not talk to strangers. But you have to run up to strangers and sell books. So they asked Prabhupada. One lady went to Prabhupada, she said, Srila Prabhupada, I heard that a Vedic woman will only talk to her husband and her immediate relatives. And I want to be a Vedic woman. But you have asked me to run up to strangers at Los Angeles airport and sell books to total strange men. What shall I do? And Prabhupada said, he said, you have to be a lamb in your home and a lion in the chase. We ask a lot, don't we? But as long as we're asking this of our Vedic women, we also have to ask the same of our Vedic men. Okay? I'm tired of hearing from women who come to me to say, what shall I do? My husband says that I have to be a Vedic wife. And I say, well, you just ask, is he a Vedic husband? And one begets the other. All right, I'm on to my class. But let us hear the translation at least. Mahesh Avesh, in the mood of Lord Shiva, Hoila became Shachir of Mother Shachi, Nandan, son, Taraskande, on his shoulder, Chadi, getting on, Nritya, dance, Koilo, did, Bahukshan, or Bahukkan. I'm trying. For a long time. Translation. Then Lord Chaitanya, adopting the mood of Lord Shiva, got on the man's shoulders, and thus they danced together for a long time. Repeat, please. Then Lord Chaitanya, adopting the mood of Lord Shiva, got on the man's shoulders, and thus they danced together for a long time. Well, this is a strange picture that this creates, doesn't it? We better find out what this is all about. Purport. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adopted the mood of Lord Shiva, for he is Lord Shiva also. According to the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, Lord Shiva is not different from Lord Vishnu, but still Lord Shiva is not Lord Vishnu, just as yogurt is nothing but milk, and yet is not milk nevertheless. One cannot get the benefit of milk by drinking yogurt. Similarly, one cannot get salvation by worshipping Lord Shiva. If one wants salvation, one must worship Lord Vishnu. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.4, Matstani sarva bhutani nachaham te shravastitaha. Everything is resting on the Lord, for everything is his potential energy. Yet he is not everywhere. Lord Chaitanya's adopting the mood of Lord Shiva is not extraordinary, but one should not therefore think that by worshipping Lord Shiva, he is worshipping Lord Chaitanya. That would be a mistake. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Miritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, I have to tell you, being a good Englishman, that today is Her Majesty the Queen's birthday. Can I get a hip hip hooray? Hip hip! God bless her. We give the Queen her dues, we give her her praise. But we do not put the Queen at the topmost part of the hierarchy of those who are worthy of praise or worthy of dues, do we? Okay. Who's higher than the Queen? Mr. Modi? He was here the other day. We also honor him, don't we? We also say, you're doing a good job, keep it up. May God protect you, may God give you a long life. Okay? We also value our mother-in-law, don't we? Okay? Those who have a mother-in-law. Okay? We have to. I did a wedding here yesterday. So the mother-in-law always gets the credit. Okay? She gets some credit. And also the grandfather. So everybody, we have credit. We give credit where credit is due. Have you heard that expression? We give praise where praise is due. We should never think that our life is so crowded by people who are worthy of our respect that we just can't respect anybody anymore. Isn't it like that? Sometimes you're a devotee in one of our temples and you see a sannyasi at the end of the corridor and you think, yeah, he's a sannyasi, but my knees hurt. I've bowed down so many times to so many devotees and so many people. I've got no more respect left. Well, this might be the plight of the, Kanishta Adhikari. We bow down so much and that we don't give respect to others who are worthy of respect. We should have respect for everyone. I told you the story of the man that in 1986, we were doing Padayatra in India, and we had one yogi, one Baba with us, and his particular idea of offering respect was to offer respect to all living entities. So he carried a bag of sugar with him, and he was throwing the sugar on the ground whenever he saw ants. And this was his focus of the day. 12 hours a day he would feed ants. And we asked him, why are you doing this? He said, because in order to cultivate humility, I have to have respect for every living entity. That's nice, isn't it? It's nice to cultivate respect for every living being. Okay, but what's wrong with the equation? After that, after 1 week or 7 days, 8 days, I was coming back in a taxi and I saw a dog crossing the road. So I was thinking, yes, respect for all living entities. And I saw the dog, and as it got closer, being an Englishman, okay, I wound down my window to pat the dog. Okay, in India they never pat the dog, never. They run over the dog, don't they? That's not. Okay, dogs are nothing in India. Here they're everything. Here we have Crufts. Crufts Dog Show, the beautiful dog show. Okay, beauty contest for dogs. That's why Rudyard Kipling in his books, he says, England is the place where A man will give a name to a dog. If you go to India, the dogs have no names. Nobody names their dog. Whose dog is this? That's the wrong question in India. Whose dog is this? There's no sense of proprietorship of a dog. Why would I want? They look at you and say, "Why would I want a dog?" Well, what's his name? What's the dog's name? They go, "Are you crazy? Why would a dog have a name? It's an animal." Now the tendency has become that you ask a person, they say, this came from America. You ask a person, "So how many in your family?" "Oh, there's me, my wife, 3 children, and Bozo. And Topsy." I say, "Oh, so you have 5 children?" 5 children. I have three of my own, and then we have Bozo and Topsy." Well, who's Bozo and Topsy? That's a strange name for Christian children. Bozo's the dog and Topsy's the cat. And we have a family. Oh my God. You've just incorporated animals into your family. Human life is a precious opportunity to get ready for your next birth. But by incorporating animals into your family, by creating this emotional web which brings animals into the human circle, you better be ready to do some, changing bodies. And it may not be, you may get out in your next body and bark. So there's a problem there. But Kali Yuga, and particularly confused Kali Yuga, confused human life, means that you're not sure of the tatparya. Tatparya means the hierarchy. There's a hierarchy. You have to place things in the correct hierarchy. So dogs are not for naming and saliva exchange. "Oh, down boy, down boy." "Oh, down boy, down boy." "No, he loves me so much." No, he's not. He's just licking the salt off your face. That's all. He needed some extra salt. "He loves me so much." No, he loves you. He loves you. That love is conditional love. Let me tell you, it's not unalloyed bhakti. It's conditional if you feed him. So we have to place things. And so, but I love my wife, and I love my children, and I love Krishna. Okay, so what are you going to do about that? I love my dog, I love my queen, I love my country, I love Krishna, I love my wife, I love my children. What are you going to do with that? Well, I love everyone. I just want to feel love. We have many people coming to our groups, and they just say, "I love you people because you people seem to just love everybody." The Hare Krishnas, they just love everybody, and they're always happy, and they just love. It's all about love and peace. So we should tell them, you know how much discrimination it takes to get to this platform of love? You know how many people we have to say no to in order to experience this love of everybody? Okay. So the old saying is, love the tiger, but don't embrace the tiger. So we're not foolish in our love of everyone. Why do we feel love of everyone? Why does a devotee feel love of everyone? Because everyone is part of Krishna. Everyone is connected by this common thread. And when we look at a living being, the Prabhupada said it's like when you have a child and you see the child's shoes. Okay, someone sends you a photograph of their children's shoes, just 2 little shoes. And you go, especially if you're a lady, you go, "Aww." Get used to it when you see baby photographs. No. Picture of the child's shoes. Why? Because the picture of the child's shoes are tadiyanam. They're connected to the child. So you feel affection when you see something connected to the object of love. The object of love is the child, and the shoes, they're just pieces of cotton or wool or plastic. But you feel affection for the shoes because you know the little feet that go inside them. You have affection for that. So one thing is connected to something else, you feel affection for it. So when everything is connected to Krishna, where you can understand that it's connected to Krishna, then you feel affection for that thing also, and certainly that person. So devotees, the more they understand Krishna, and certainly the more they understand how Krishna loves them, then they love everyone. But at the same time, that doesn't mean we are walking in a a drunken stupor. A man, when he gets drunk, he loves everybody, right? A man, when he gets drunk, he says, you know what, I love you. I've always loved you. Really, don't laugh. I really do, I really. Because he's lost all powers of discrimination. As Prabhupada said, he said, two people like this. He said, the Paramahamsa and the pig. Paramahamsa has no discrimination. He loves everybody. And the pig has no discrimination. He eats everybody. So, there is a story of a man who loved his pigs. You know that story? The story, he loved his pigs. He really loved his pigs. He fed them, and ultimately he was going to kill them, but he loved them. He loved his pigs. And eventually he had a heart attack while he was feeding his pigs, and the pigs ate him because they loved him without discrimination. The pigs loved him without discrimination. So, as devotees, the first thing we learn is discrimination. And you might think, well, that's a bit harsh, because discrimination has now become a bad word. They think discrimination means that you look at someone or something negatively. But what they mean is prejudice. They confuse discrimination, which just means to evaluate someone or something and place it into your hierarchy of things and people and persons. And the other is prejudice, where you put someone in a hierarchy, but you don't know anything about them. And this is the thing. And we are always told not to do that, aren't we? The Nectar of Instruction says that if you look at a devotee, and the devotee has some physical ailment, or the devotee doesn't appear to be, should we say, physically capable, or he seems to be dirty, or his clothing is not arranged very nicely, or his hair is all over the place. We look at that person and we think, and we immediately place them somewhere in our hierarchy. Do I bow down to this person? I'm a Vaishnava. Okay. Who's the person? Do I bow down to this person, or do I give this person some instruction? Most of the time we like to give instruction, don't we? Whoever we are. You should be respectful of me. You know what? You should be respectful of me because I'm an older devotee. Or when did you join? I joined on Wednesday. When did you join? I joined this week on Friday. Then I can give you instruction because I'm a senior devotee to you. So this point is that we try to fit someone in without understanding. One time there was a person came to see Prabhupada in Vrindavan, and he looked every inch the tousled mendicant. His hair was all over the place, and he had tattered clothes. He was an elderly man, and there are many such elderly men in Vrindavan, and they wanted to come to see Prabhupada. And of course, usually the hierarchy in ISKCON in the 1970s went older Americans, okay, we all bowed down to them. Younger Americans, we all got pushed out of the way because of them. Then English, then came the English, and we didn't know what to do with the Canadians. They were maybe somewhere in between the Americans and the English. So there was a hierarchy in ISKCON in those days. If you're American and young, you were sort of GBC material, and then so the bowing down got sort of apportioned. So the devotees were pushing this man back. He was in Prabhupada's room. They were pushing this man back, and they said, he wants to see Prabhupada. Well, I want to see Prabhupada too. They're elbowing him out the way. And over the top of the crowd, Prabhupada saw this face of this man. And he said, come. And Prabhupada got down off his Vyasasan where he was sitting, and he paid his dandavats to this man. And the devotees were, whoa, who is this person? He looks like a tramp. He looks like a homeless person, but Prabhupada's paying his dandavats to. And Prabhupada was showing the devotees, don't judge a devotee by their clothing, don't judge a devotee by their age, don't judge a devotee by their apparent lack of this or lack of that. And at the same time, don't judge a devotee by their apparent ecstasies We're told many times, don't judge a person by their apparent ecstasies. Okay, we have to be very careful. Like the devotee whose guru was smoking ganja. We have such things happening. The guru was smoking ganja, and he came to the door and he said, I'd like to go and see Gurudev. And he said, no, he's in the mood of Lord Shiva right now. You laugh, these things were commonplace. You're very lucky you were born in Poland and you came to the Krishna consciousness movement a little bit later. You're all very lucky that we know that we can laugh at these things. I tell you, immediately after Prabhupada, we were immediately created a hierarchy whereby anyone who was of a certain rank or a certain age immediately came in for the top level of adulation. And then we had to learn painfully, isn't it, Vishwambhar? We had to learn painfully that you have to have discrimination. Discrimination means you ascertain a person by their symptoms. And that may take time. So when a person is looking for a guru, how long are you supposed to take to look for a guru? How long are you supposed to take? Well, you take as long as it takes, but how long are you supposed to take? When you become, oh yeah, this person is a nice person, this person helps me, this person is a sadhu, other people say that he's a sadhu, very good. So how long is that meant to be? Minimum is 1 year, Sanatana Goswami says, minimum 1 year. And what happens? It's mutual pariksha, mutual examination. You have to examine. You have to examine, you have to examine, you have to see. And then you got no one to blame but yourself. But you told me he was, no, we didn't. You had to examine yourself. Okay? Unless you examine yourself, how are you going to know? So, but I'm young, I'm just a new devotee. How do I know what's what? Well, then you have to examine Prabhupada. Do you find Prabhupada? I mean, I wasn't given much time to examine Prabhupada. I walked in the door, they said, clean some bins. 3 days later, they said, okay, go and sell these books. 5 months later, they told me, okay, you're getting initiated. I said, oh, okay, what's that? Okay. Prabhupada is the guru, and Prabhupada is your guru. Okay. Zero discrimination. So then I met Prabhupada, and the first time he answered a question, I thought, oh, that was a bit harsh. And later, we were just sitting here, Prabhupada was sitting up there, and one lady asked Prabhupada what I thought was a perfectly reasonable question. Does Krishna speak the Bhagavad Gita on the hellish planets? And I thought, okay, good. This is a good question. I've wondered that. Does Krishna speak Bhagavad Gita all over the place, or is it just on earth? Because I had this thing that, if it was always just India, I was an Englishman. I wanted Krishna to speak Bhagavad Gita in England. Left up to me, I would have started another religion, like the Latter-day Saints, But Krishna somehow, in an as heretofore unrevealed incarnation, actually came and spoke the Bhagavad Gita in Washington, D.C., okay, or in London on the bank of the Thames. Now that would have made sense. But Kurukshetra, 90 miles from Delhi, it doesn't make sense to me. It's not the center of the world, is it? Okay? Obviously, London is the center of the world. So we all carry that conception that, So I thought, does Krishna, yeah, that's a good question. And Prabhupada simply said, what did he say? You've all heard the answer. He said, London is hell. He said, every time I come here, it is dark and it is cold and miserable. He said, this is also hell. So then I thought, well, that wasn't an answer. I thought, well, that was evading the answer. And then the second person who asked the question, he said, it was a Jagajivan. First person was Krishnavesh. Second person who asked the question was, it's 1975, January 1975, I believe, or March. One of those. It fades. You can look in the book. But he said, there's 8,400,000 species, Srila Prabhupada. I thought, oh, this is a very intelligent question. I was a biologist. I like biology. Prabhupada is going to be, asked this question. He said, what is the 400,000 species of human life? Could you tell us something about those 400,000 species of human life? I thought, well, what a good question. Wish I could ask an intelligent question like that. I wonder what Prabhupada's going to say. And I was sitting here, just right here, and I leaned forward to hear what Prabhupada said. Because I wanted to see, could this person be my guru, or could this, And he said, that is a not important question. I was so, well, I'm not too impressed here. I've been offering my food, offering my peanuts and cheese and cottage cheese with pineapple to a picture of this person, for a good 5 months now, and I was hoping to be zapped by something he said or did. But it's not happening. I don't feel it. I just don't feel it, So then you're all thinking, well, yeah, but if I was there, if I was sitting in front of Prabhupada, I would have felt completely different from you, Kripamoya. I would have felt really, wow, I would have, the waves of ecstasy. No. Don't give yourself airs and graces. You would have just felt the same. Many people came and many people went. But the conclusion that I came to is that only by serving the spiritual master can you experience the spiritual master. Therefore we find pariprashnena sevaya. It's not just, as Prabhupada's godbrother Sridhar Maharaj said, he said, just don't treat the guru as a question box. Don't treat the guru as a question box. It's not just this person will, because then you're asking the guru to serve you. You come before the guru and basically what you're saying is, okay, now I'd like you to serve me. Answer all my questions. Get me inspired when you give a class. Then I want to see you whirling and twirling in kirtan and do a really fired up kirtan so I can feel something. Then I want you to look good every time I see you, and then I'll judge you. Okay? That's not what Bhagavad Gita says, my dear friends. Bhagavad Gita 4:34 says, Pariprashnena sevaya, serve that person. Because that's the transmission. It's the transmission of information. Transmission of information is not up here. Transmission of information is here. Okay? So when you serve that person, then you experience that person in full as a representative of the object, the ultimate object of service, which is Krishna. But we have to make some type of rational explanation, don't we? Whether this person is the person to whom I can listen repeatedly, to whom I can serve. Well, serve everybody. How about that? Just serve everyone. In the beginning, certainly in the ashram, become a servant of everybody. And you'll soon find out who can take you to a higher level and who cannot. And that's why we encourage our devotees to serve. So here's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doing a very strange thing. It says here, a great devotee of Shiva, chanting Lord Shiva's qualities, came to Lord Chaitanya's house, where he began dancing in the courtyard and playing his damaru, a musical instrument. Now you remember that in these days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is responding to everybody's level of devotion according to that level. To Murari Gupta, he's revealing himself as Lord Ramachandra. To different devotees, he's revealing himself in different ways. So here he is to a person who's a devotee of Lord Shiva. And he's revealing himself to be none other than Lord Shiva. So how is this possible? This is Lord Chaitanya adopting the mood of Lord Shiva. And the word used here is avesh. When you jump into a swimming pool, correct me if I'm wrong, Sachi, this is jala avesh. You are immersed in water. Avesh means immersed. You're immersed in something, fully absorbed in something, so that it surrounds you completely. That Shakti completely surrounds you. Okay? And for those of us who are on the path of bhakti, seriously practicing bhakti, you cannot be a devotee. You cannot be a devotee unless at some times you experience this Shakti Avesh, isn't it? Certainly Kripa Shakti Avesh. Kripa Shakti is what a book distributor feels after several hours. What someone like Govinda feels when he's out on Harinam. Otherwise it's just repetition, and it's just you have to, crank yourself up. But you actually have to experience it. Don't tell everybody. You actually experience something when you're out on Harinam, isn't it? Yeah, I do. And how long would you say you have to be on Harinam before you experience the buzz of Kripa Shakti Avesh? Serious question. Or is it not a mathematical thing? It's how much you surrender to the name as you're chanting. Yeah, that'll do, he says. Get off my case. I'm just stop picking on me. But Vishvambhar, I know you'll talk about it. So it's not a mathematical thing. I'm not going to give you the chance. It's not a mathematical thing that once Vishvambhar Prabhu has distributed, 93 books, then Krishna says, okay, he did 93 books, I'm going to give him some Kripa Shakti now. It doesn't work like that. It's how much are you actually surrendering, and it may be the conditions of your surrender mean that I don't actually want to distribute books today. I don't actually want to go out on Harinam today. Or why am I doing it? I'm doing it out of duty, and also I know that if I do it, I'll feel something. I do it because I'm pleasing Krishna, I'm pleasing my Guru, and I'm accomplishing many other things as well. And so no one can remain a devotee. Certainly no one can become a devotee unless you get this Kripa Shakti. Now Kripa Shakti is very chanchala, like Lakshmi Devi. Because it comes from Lakshmi, it comes from Radharani. It comes from her mercy. So it's very chanchala. Comes and then goes. One day a lady came to me and she was in tears. It was Rath Yatra, the London Rath Yatra. She came to me and the tears were just pouring down her face like this. And she said, what is that song you keep singing? That song has made me cry. She was just her lips were quivering. And she was just crying. And she said, what is that song that everybody keeps singing? These were her words. The whole thing, you're singing, the dancing, the song. It's just, I feel something in here. And she was hitting her chest. She said, I feel something in here. It's just making me cry. Okay? She said, I don't want to cry, but it's making me cry. So then what a question to be asked. So, I'll explain something to you. I'll mansplain something to you, But then we didn't see that lady ever again, or I didn't see the lady ever again. So everybody knows that you get a free sample. You get a free sample when you're coming to Krishna, isn't it? A free sample. Something very special happens. Okay. When I went to India for the first time, it was just amazing. We came out of the main gate at Mayapur. I think it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day, Gorpranim, so we were going on first time you're in India, you just see the world in a completely different way. It was the first time I'd ever seen an old man with a bead bag. The oldest man I'd ever seen with a bead bag before was 24. I'd never seen people with bead bags who were older than 24. So here I was in Bengal, and I was seeing I saw these old men, and I was looking, and I was thinking, how can an old person have a bead bag? So my head was exploding. And then down the road came Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu as deities being carried by, but they were large deities like this, But there was no difference for me. Absolutely no. I saw them coming down the road. And this was it. I'd gone back home, back to Godhead. I was in the spiritual world. That was it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I just burst into tears. And the tears were like just popping. And I fell down on the ground. I was just sobbing. 3 seconds later, I stepped on something and it was all over. But unless you experience such moments, I don't think you can wake up the next morning and pick up your bead bag. You can't do it. Why would you? Have you ever had that meditation where you look at your bead bag and it looks like a 10-ton weight? Okay? And you're like, I just can't lift that thing. What to speak of chanting Hare Krishna? I can't do that. I can't even lift the bag that the beads are in. I can't do it. Not today. Maybe later, as they go in Bengal. Pore. Hare Krishna Nam Gai Pore. Later. I'll do it later. One man, he always used to say to me, yes. I was living in Africa. He said, yes, I'll take it up later. Later. I'll do it later. It's a very polite way. In India, especially in Bengal, if you want to say no, you never say no to someone. You say, later. You make a hand gesture like that. Later. It's like, get out of my face. Later. I said later. It means no, but I don't want to be rude. Later I'll do something. So what would you say to someone who comes to you and says, so can you tell me what you believe? What's your philosophy? What do you believe? Are you prepared to speak to that person and explain things to them? You should be. Because get ready, if we're ever going to have a revolution, then the revolution has to be consisted of It has to consist of revolutionaries. Revolutionaries means someone who's undergoing a revolution in their heart and someone who is wanting to bring others. These two factors, our movement as a movement cannot grow and prosper and increase unless each and every person, that means you. I have an old photograph of my grandfather with Lord Kitchener. Lord Kitchener was the famous person whose image was on the poster, and he was pointing. He was a British Army general, and he was pointing, and he was saying, "Your country needs you." Have you seen it? It's been done many, many times on everything. They even did a poster of Prabhupada pointing and said, "Your moon is it?" So your country needs you, and it was successful in getting a lot of young men to become devotees, but to basically be slaughtered in the First World War. But my grandfather was already in the army at that time. There's a picture of him with Lord Kitchener. Your country needs you. So in the same way as a country cannot fight, Prabhupada hoped that he would create a movement where every single person was a fighter. People talk about this word jihad. We are doing the real jihad, the real struggle. Internally, we are struggling with 6 enemies. We're fighting with these 6 enemies: lust, anger, greed, anxiety, fear, madness, illusion. All these things. We're fighting with those internally in our life of devotion. And externally, there are so many obstacles to overcome. You go all over this country of England, and in every, the Normans knew what they were doing. In 1066 they came here, they conquered Britain, and one of the first things they did between 1066 and 1080 was to build churches. They build churches. So now you go to every English village all across the country. There's 14,000, or maybe more than that, 14,000 villages at least. So in every one of them, there is a church. Everywhere there are churches, even though there's only 5 or 6 people. And for every 11,000 people, there's only one temple. 11,000 people who believe in Krishna, there's only one temple. So we're not really in any competition at all. We're not building buildings, we're not opening centers. But we like the principle that devotees should live with other devotees. We like that. Anybody doesn't like that principle? That we should come to a temple and we should be with other devotees. We like that principle. Well, what the principle we don't like is that devotees should go and open centers. We don't like that principle. Therefore, everybody bunches up in London. Okay? Even in Poland, they like to come and live in London. Even in Latvia, they love to come in London. Lithuania, they like to come and live near Bhaktivedanta Manor. Even in Soho Street, they like to come and live near Soho Street. But they can't do it, it's too expensive. So this principle is a very good principle. Asat Sangha and Sangha Vaishnava. We like these principles. Give up the association of non-devotees, live with the devotees. But if everybody does that, then what will happen? No one will ever be anywhere. And so we were gifted a wonderful temple, wonderful bank building in Leicester. Leicester's a wonderful, we had a £6 million building, was practically given to us, and we were finding it hard to put devotees there. Why? Devotees like to live in London. But if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is ever to go anywhere else in this generation, it requires people like me to take advantage of classes like this to say, the principle is expansion. I saw my spiritual master, when he was very, very sick, come here for the last time, when he was in pain, to see his disciples. So if he can travel in order to see his disciples for the last time, we should also be prepared to go to different places to see the Prabhupada disciples of the future. He came to see the Prabhupada disciples of the future, which was people like me, if you can call me a Prabhupada disciple. So he came to see us. And what I'm saying is there's Prabhupada disciples who have yet to understand that they're Prabhupada disciples, and we need to pass that on, that same spirit of going to different places. And people are very, very grateful. Just the other week, myself and Radha Govinda, we went up to a town that you may never have heard of, but their football team has just got into the third division for the first time in their history, Accrington Stanley. So we went to Accrington, and it's a very small place, but it's kind of a bit of a yoga chakra now. We have devotees there. On the same street, on one street, we have 3 devotees. Kishore, who plays the guitar. Kishore, he came from one house, and then Rasheshri is living in another house, and another lady's living in another house. So there's a little, somehow or another. And there are places all over the country. Cardiff was one of them. In the early days of our movement, we had 7 devotees come from the same city. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can put them in different places, but we have to be Shakti Avesh ourselves. It doesn't mean that you're going to go in the mood of Lord Shiva and dance around on someone's shoulders. But it means Shakti Avesh means you have to take the Kripa Shakti and you have to become empowered. And we are depending on you. And depending on you means you have to locate these people. And they are there. And you will get the Shakti if you make the effort even. Even if you just make the effort. So many people think, I'll come from Lithuania, I'll get trained up at Bhaktivedanta Manor, and then I'll go home. Or I'll get trained up, I'll come from Chaupati, I'll learn something at Bhaktivedanta Manor, then I'll go home. Or I'll do my sabbatical at Bhaktivedanta Manor. It's good. 3 months at the Manor, 3 months in India. That's really cool. And then I'll become a member of a recruitment agency. Or I will become a stockbroker. But think, instead of having just a 6 months, pay us. Pay us. We've given you a nice 6 months. Give another 6 months to traveling and preaching. And that's what they said to me when I came. We've looked after you now. We've given you devotional service, because they were convincing me that cleaning the dustbins was devotional service, and really I should be really grateful. Somehow I believed it. I don't know. Somehow I believed it. I still believe it. But they said, now we do this really exciting thing. It's called selling books. You go all over the country and you travel. I heard their mouth flapping and they were going blah, 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 blah. And I heard the word travel. And I thought, okay, that sounds cool. I'll go traveling. So for the next 6 years, I wasn't in the same town twice. I went all over the country. And I can tell you, quite confidently, that the devotees of Krishna are in every town all over the country. And there are enough towns. There's 100 towns that have a population of over 100,000. And we know that with a 100,000 population, you can have a group of 10 people easily. And we know that out of those 10 people, 2 of them will be serious chanters, and another 2 will be sort of less serious chanters. And the other 6 members of the group will ride piggyback on the other 4. Okay? They'll come when there's a slideshow, when the prasadam is nice, when the kirtan is good, when there's a special visitor. Okay? And it's happening all over the country. And all it takes is for us to take it upon ourselves to meet people. And that's the hard part, that you actually have to enter into a relationship with people. And for some of us, that may not be so palatable because there's money to be made, we have to do things, we have to, So I'm saying it's a bit of a challenge. You can sell a person a book, that's very good. You can sing at a person on the street, that's very good. But unless you enter into a relationship with someone, you're not reproducing chapter 4, verse 34. Because just as you have a guru who is compassionate enough to deal with you, you have to be a guru for someone else. And I'm not saying guru in the official ecclesiastical sense. I'm saying guru in being as a spiritual messenger. You have to be able to speak to people affectionately, and you have to be able to look after them. If each devotee just looked after one other person and never let them go, our movement would double. It's a very simple equation, isn't it? We could double the numbers of people in our movement. And then if they did the same thing, right, we'd double again. Exponential growth. The reason we're not growing exponentially, I feel, is because we're doing things to broadcast information on Krishna consciousness, or we're doing things to broadcast the name of Krishna, but we're not necessarily allowing people to get close enough to us that they become friends with us. Our Indian congregation, our Indian community, generally speaking, are afraid because they don't want to be, the person that teaches Hinduism to the white people, So we don't want. I don't know, but I can't do it at work. I'm too busy to do it at home. And on the weekend, I go to weddings. I can't do that. It's not polite anymore to talk about God in the workplace. And in some workplaces, it might be illegal. Okay? Don't bring God into the National Health Service. Some nurses have been fired for talking about their religion to patients. Don't speak to me about your. There's a lot of restriction now. And then with others, we're finding that there's so many excuses not to allow a person into your private space, your spiritual space. But unless you do, so what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here sounds rather esoteric and mystical, but the main thing he's doing, in the best possible way, is he's making friends with this person. This person is a devotee of Lord Shiva. But it doesn't say, does it, that the person said, "Hey, get off my back. Who the hell do you think you are?" No, he actually felt this is the right, strangely speaking, this is the right thing for the sadhu to be doing at this time. Shiva, 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 Shiva. This is great. Somehow or another, he felt that it was the right thing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was reciprocating with him according to his level of devotion. So why don't we do that? Why don't you do that with other people? Why is it all about you? Why are you so selfish that you can't share Krishna consciousness with others? I mean, including all of us, and it's a rhetorical question. I'm not trying to bully you. But I'm saying, go home and look at the cold, hard facts. Look in the mirror when you put your tilak on and ask the mirror, ask yourself, why is it that I don't allow anybody into my personal space such that I make friends with them and help them to become a devotee? Why is it that I'm always doing something to a person rather than engaging with a person? And when you've found that, you will find probably there's reluctance, or there's fear, or there's lack of attraction, you know. And what I'm saying is that you just can't go on like that, because you won't get these moments. You won't get these moments of great Kripa Shakti, because you don't deserve them. You don't deserve them. Don't think that by chanting 93,000 rounds, you will suddenly get blessed, or by distributing 93,000 books, or by going on 93,000 Harinams. That's a business relationship. That's a cold calculation. If you give mercy, you will receive mercy. This is the thing. And giving mercy means that it's unconditional. You're not making a calculation. I'm helping this person. They've asked. I'm helping them. And therefore, if I help them, I know that at some stage I will reap the benefits. There's a famous story, isn't there, about there was a tree, there was a mango forest, and in the middle of the mango forest there was a mango tree with sweet fruits, beautiful ripe fruits, but no birds would ever go there to eat the fruits, and they wouldn't even perch in the tree. And one sage, he said to the other sage, he said, I've noticed the birds eat all the other fruits, but they don't eat that tree. He said, in his last life, this person who is now in the body of the tree is a person who had the ripe fruit of Krishna Bhakti, but would never share it with anybody else. He kept it for himself. So in this life, he's taken birth as this tree who has sweet, ripe fruits, but no one is interested. Nobody is interested. No birds will come there. So we have the fruit. We must share it. Thank you very much. God bless. Hare Krishna. In your journey, Hare Krishna.